Noorsign Books presents Ramadan Miracles, Stories of Faith Found in the Ordinary. The Longest Shift, Part 3, Break. In a hospital corridor, a nurse's cold hand and a text about crescent moon biscuits collide. Zak is about to learn that the heaviest burdens are never carried alone. Will I be okay? Diane's hand crushed Zak's as the trolley bumped into the cardiology corridor. Her skin was cold and slick. Behind them, A&E's frantic noise faded. Here, the light felt softer, the sounds focused, the hum of specialized machines, staff moving with the surety of people who did one thing very well. Diane's pupils were wide with fear and morphine. He could have given her statistics, survival percentages, mortality curves. He saw instead the woman who worried about her cat and her neighbor's falafel, who'd almost ignored all this. "We've caught it early," he said. "The team here is excellent. You're in the right place. We're going to do everything we can. And if God or whoever decides," she winced, "I'll be making dua for you," he said. "What's that?" "Praying for you," he said. "It's the best thing I know how to do, besides this." He gestured vaguely at wires and needles. She gave a tiny huff. "Not much of a believer. Christmas, maybe. But if you've got any pull up there, Doc, use it, yeah?" He found a real small smile. "I don't have pull," he said, "but I know who does." The cardiology registrar appeared, brisk and calm, explaining the procedure. The cath lab doors opened. They wheeled Diane away. The doors swung shut. Silence pressed in. For the first time in 3 months, Zak had nothing immediate to do. He could have sprinted back to A&E. Instead, his legs went weak. He sat heavily on a plastic chair, elbows on his knees. In the stillness, everything he'd been outrunning surged up. Marcus's flatline, his wife's scream that night, systemic failures, learning outcomes, extra shifts scribbled with his name. The thought he'd been living inside. I should have done more, if I had been more. He'd tried to become the impossible creature that demanded, omnipresent, omniscient, something only Allah is allowed to be. His phone buzzed. A message from Amira. "How is your day? We made crescent moon biscuits. Sophia ate more icing than biscuit." Letters blurred. At the far end of the corridor, a blue hijab appeared, as if answered to something unspoken in him. Of course. Rohima walked toward him, sensible shoes squeaking softly. "How is she?" she asked, nodding at the doors. "In there. LAD occlusion. We caught it. I broke my fast." Her eyebrows lifted slightly. "Ah, and did the sky fall?" He let out a breath that was half laugh. "My hands were shaking. I couldn't hold the leads. I took a date, a glucose tablet. It helped." "You did what you tell your patients to do," she said, and then, I'm sure, felt guilty. "I've been weaponizing it," he said slowly. "Ramadan, fasting, making it harder, pushing further. Like if I suffer enough, it pays for Marcus." She lowered herself onto the chair beside him. Up close, he saw the lines of long years of listening. "You told me his name," she said softly. "Marcus." He nodded. "He will be on your scales," she said. "But so will Diane, and the boy you calmed in Bay 7, and your daughter's bedtime stories. Allah does not look at one day and say, 'This is you forever.' Why should you? It feels like if I let myself breathe, I'm saying Marcus doesn't matter," he whispered, "like I'm accepting that he's just a statistic. I won't be that doctor." "Good," she said. "Don't be. Let it change how you work. Let it make you fight the system. But Marcus's wife would not say, "Yes, please, honor my husband by ruining yourself." His throat worked. What if I don't deserve forgiveness? The word scraped. What if I'm supposed to carry this to make up for it? She looked at him steadily. "Do you think Allah is unjust?" she asked. He flinched. "No." "Then do you think he would command you to carry more than you can bear and never give you relief? To push this rock up the mountain until your knees break, and if you ever sit down, he says, 'unworthy'?" A familiar ayah stirred in his memory, one he'd used on others, never on himself. Allah does not burden a soul beyond that it can bear. He realized he'd carved himself out of that promise, as if Allah had said, "Everyone but you." "That doesn't erase Marcus," she added. "Regret is part of Toba, but there's a difference between carrying a scar and opening the wound every day so it never heals." The cath lab doors swung open. "Dr. Osei?" He shot to his feet. "How did it go?" "Lad occlusion," the registrar said, peeling off gloves. "We got in quickly. Stent in, flow restored. She's stable." She allowed herself a quick smile. "Tell A&E thanks for not sitting on it. That ECG was a gift." Something in Zach's chest unclenched. "Thank you," he managed. They wheeled Diane out, pale but conscious, wires still trailing. "Still here then?" she croaked. "Still here," he said, walking beside her toward CCU. "If you did any of that dua thing," she added, voice wavering. "Thanks." "I did," he said. "You're welcome. But you should thank the cardiologist more, and your neighbor with the baklava. If she hadn't fed you so much, you might have ignored the pain." Diane gave a strangled little laugh. "She'll love that. She keeps saying, 'See, Allah's watching. That's why I bring food.' Maybe she was right." "Maybe," he said. When she disappeared into CCU, he found himself alone in the corridor, oddly weightless. Old habit tugged him back toward A&E. His feet turned the other way. "Going somewhere?" came Rohima's voice, falling into step beside him. "Prayer room," he said. She smiled, satisfied. "I'll walk you part way. Then I have a Jewish patient to see. We're debating whether God prefers his matzah or my samosas." "Who's winning?" "Food," she said. "Food always wins." The prayer room was empty when he opened the door. Same narrow window, same scuffed lino, same green qibla sticker. He took a mat from the shelf. The fabric was frayed at the edges, smelling faintly of old dust and the residue of other people's prayers. He went to the little sink in the corner. This time he did not stop halfway through wudu. He washed his hands, his mouth, his nose, his face, his arms, his feet. The cold water shocked him fully conscious in a way caffeine never quite reached. He stood on the mat. Allahu Akbar. The words felt strange and familiar on his tongue, like a language he had not spoken in too long. He raised his hands to his ears, folding them over his chest. The lines of Al-Fatiha came, haltingly at first, then in the smooth, worn rhythm they'd known since he was 19, in a hospital ward with a Yemeni man whispering the same words as his life ebbed. He bowed. He prostrated. The first sujud after 3 months. His forehead pressed into the thin padding of the mat. The small bones of his knees felt the pressure. His back curved around his own heart, a shell around something fragile. He stayed there. No crash pager, no corridor noise intruded for once, just the sound of his own breath, loud in his ears. What do you say after 3 months of silence? He did not have eloquence in him. Instead, words came out of him in blunt, unvarnished phrases. Ya Allah, I am tired. I am wrong. I have been using your worship to hurt myself, calling it discipline. I have been pretending I can carry what only you can carry. I am sorry. For Marcus, for my arrogance, for shutting you out because I was ashamed to face you." His throat tightened. "Please, help me. Help me carry what I must. Help me put down what I do not need to drag. Forgive me. Forgive him. Give him light in his grave. Give his wife patience. Give Diane a long life to make up for the one Marcus lost. And let me be okay. Let me go home to my daughter without feeling like I am stealing something from the dead." When he finally sat back on his heels and ended the salah, the world felt not fixed, not mended, but different. The weight was still there. Marcus was still dead. The review would still happen. Patients would still line the corridors tonight. But the rock that had been lodged in his chest, grinding at his ribs, felt lighter, shifted, as if some of it had been taken off without him noticing. He sat on the mat, back against the wall, and let himself breathe. Outside, the hospital went on, births and deaths and everything between. His phone buzzed, a message from his mother. "Iftar tomorrow at mine?" Then beneath, "Allah does not burden a soul beyond it can bear. You know this, my son." He smiled, incredulous. He typed back, "I know, Mum. I'm coming, insha'Allah." That evening, he broke his fast properly, for the first time since Ramadan started, in the prayer room with 2 of the dates from his pocket and a small bottle of water Sister Rohima had left on the shelf for whoever needs it most. The date tasted different this time, not like bribery, not like failure, like fuel. He found Amira's number and called. "I'm coming home after this shift. Actually, coming home. No extra rota tonight." He could hear the smile in her voice. "We made lentil soup, and Sophia wants to show you her mosques made of Lego." He laughed, an unforced sound. "I'd love that." That night, when the adhan chimed for Fajr, he did not silence it. He stood and prayed. His sujood felt different, not deeper, not holier, just more his. In his own living room, on his own mat, wife asleep down the hall, daughter in a tangle of blankets upstairs. The life he almost let his guilt steal from him. "Thank you," he said, simply, "for letting me still be here." The shift patterns didn't change overnight. The trust review didn't evaporate. Patients still lined the corridors. But something in the way Zach moved through his world altered by degrees. He took his breaks. He prayed properly. He kept his counseling appointments. The miracle wasn't that Diane had lived and Marcus had died. Death and life were qadrullah. The miracle was smaller and stranger, that after 3 months of running until every breath hurt, he had stopped. He had knelt. He had let himself be a man and not a system. When his phone's adhan alarm rang, he didn't silence it. He rose. This time, when he went into sujood, he was not running from anything. He was finally, blessedly, allowed to rest. You've been listening to Ramadan Miracles, a Noorsign Books original. And so Zach's longest shift reaches its end. Sometimes the lesson isn't in finding strength, but in finally accepting the hands and the messages that have been holding you up all along. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next miracle. Visit noorsignbooks.com to join our community and get the full collection. Jazakumullah khairan.